Good morning, and good morning, Cedar Valley. I'm Cary Darrah with Grow Cedar Valley, and we're coming to you live and with another unique format, as we've all been getting accustomed to. So we wanted to be able to continue with our networking, so we will continue and do it in a virtual way. So welcome, and this morning we will be visiting with our mayors, our area mayors, Quentin Hart with Waterloo, Rob Green, Cedar Falls, and welcoming Adam Hoffman with the mayor of Waverly. So we'll get started this morning, as we always do, with our updates from our community leaders and our municipalities. So Mayor Hart, let's start with you in Waterloo, if you would, please.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. And I know some of you may want to ask, what happened to his arm? And I just tell Cary, and I just tell everyone else, it's pretty hard to be able to carry the entire city and Cedar Valley on your shoulders. So unfortunately, one of my shoulders gave out and I had to get rotator cuff surgery. But with that said, we've been through some incredible times over the course of the last 3-4 months. I think we'll all agree that life has changed drastically since we last spoke. But even with that change, I'm so grateful to see the efforts of so many people throughout this community that are working hard, from our front desk people to our clerks, to our EMS, to our fire and our police and our healthcare service providers. But you play such an incredible, valuable role to this community. So I wanted to give you a hearty thank you as we begin. I do have a PowerPoint that I would like to share. With regards to activity that's taking place in the city of Waterloo. And that's just another incredible picture that we have of our downtown. But even in the midst of COVID and protests and every other things that are taking place, the city has been incredibly busy. Right now, as of May, we are about $31.5 million over where we were at the year before with our permit values. So people are still very confident in our overall investments to restructuring, to opening up businesses. So we're very happy about that. And another area, the AA2 high quality bond rating. And so every city across the state and county know good fiscal health is absolutely important. And we're happy that we are at our AA2 quality bond rating for the 10th year in a row. And our population, in case you don't know, 72,000 people, a footprint of 64 square miles, and that's over 900 lane miles, which that's a lot to be able to fix and to sweep and to maintain. And opening mid-July, we're so happy and pleased. But as many of you know, a couple years ago, with regards to the Ramada, we're so pleased that the Best Western has continued their reconstruction of the former Ramada Inn. That's also adjacent to our 5 Sullivan Brothers. And that is over a $10 million investment with 99 hotel rooms and 69 extended stay units. So that is opening mid-July, which is incredible to think about where we were at a year ago. Our downtown convention center, which is an icon to our downtown, we are continuing to place in renovations, and currently we have about $2.4 million in renovations that are underway. And after this July, we'll continue to be able to renovate and put dollars into our convention center that I think all of us would agree are absolutely needed. And then next year, in next September of 2021, the Iowa League of Cities will actually be in Waterloo for the conference. So we want to make sure that we have the most incredible convention center at that point we can have. And we're so thankful with John Deere, one of our best partners, with $880,000 worth of addition to the foundry in downtown. And just to give that some context, we have one of the most sophisticated foundries technology-wise in multiple areas. that there are in the United States and around the world. So we're very thankful for the continued efforts with John Deere from a business standpoint, but also the work that we're going to partner to do from the philanthropic side as well, with the project that we'll probably be announcing within the next couple months. Our Northeast Industrial site, as you can see, Control is right on track. It's $11 million, 204,000 square foot project with over 160,000 feet of warehouse space in our Northeast Industrial Park. We're also working on that corridor with construction on Newell Street, which will help the ease of transportation in that area from trucking and mobility. So we're excited about that. AT&T Trucking will construct a 4,300 square foot trucking facility that will begin later this summer as well. So very excited on a couple developments in our Northeast site. Highway 63 20 corridor, if you drive by there, you know it looks absolutely nothing like it did a year ago. We're continuing to see great things taking place with Three Stooges for the 20,000 square foot business and building. Casey's is now opening and operating. So we're excited about those developments and other developments that we're going to be mentioning probably at our next meeting. Right outside my door, maybe a block away, the Burger King is newly constructed for our Northeast crossing. And once again, 2 years ago, this area looks completely different than it did. You had broken down buildings, dilapidation, and working with Ben Stroh and the developers in Unity Point. We're so pleased to see the incredible progress that we see over there. And the city also has acres of land over there, and we're looking for retail development opportunities that we'll begin talking about in about another year or so. So tremendous comeback story for a corridor. And as you also look, the Walnut Neighborhood Coalition is continuing to move forward to change this area. As you know, in 1968, there were area protests in the area, and businesses were burned and moved away, and a lot of flight and blight within that community. But just so incredible to see 50 years later, the amount of progress that's taking place with JSA, Habitat for Humanity, All In Grocers. In August, we'll begin construction. The Boys and Girls Club and the Neighborhood Association, but just a great synergy. University Avenue, we know, has been a bumpy ride in our section, and Cedar Falls has done incredible work on their stretch. But I just wanted to put in context what had to take place with our project from Midway to Highway 63. That's over 3 miles of complete street roadway, including 5-lane sections, Midway to Progress, 4-lane sections, Progress to Highway 63. But what people don't realize, there were over 3 bridges that needed to have something done to them. And all of them will have amenities and enhancements. One bridge with complete demolition and pedestrian box culvert installation. Also adaptive traffic signals, backlighted street names, signs, intersections, trailhead parking lot construction, sidewalks, recreational trails, but an incredible amount of things taking place there. And right here is one of the enhancements that will be taking place. And here's the drum roll for this is Amesboro to 63, but guess what? There will be a roundabout at the Fletcher 63 intersection with all the amenities of Waterloo that we can possibly find. Just continuing on at Marigold, the new Boslick Islamic Center. We know Waterloo is an incredibly diverse place, many things happening. Kimball Ridge, AutoZone is going in with over $1 million or so worth of investment, and that's going to continue. Lowell Elementary School, which means a lot to so many people here, has been demolished, And there will be a $21 million school that's planned to open in the fall 2021 with every technological feature and every advantage for our children to be able to succeed. You'll see, and just recently completed Lincoln Park, Lost Island, Friendship Village is moving forward. The Riverfront Skate Board Park has started. Downtown Bridge work is going to continue to move forward. Last but not least, we know over the last couple of weeks, there's so many of us and so many hearts that have been broken with the loss of George Floyd. And we're just so thankful that our community members stepped up and protested, let us know how they feel. And as you can see, the center picture is with myself and Chief Joel Fitzgerald at one of our protests, who has come on in probably about a week and a half time and captivated the hearts and the minds of so many people within our community. And we know Cedar Falls as well, and Evansdale, with incredible peaceful protests. But it's about our community. It's about hearing the voices and the cries. It's about Black Lives Matter. And I know other people say all lives matter, but it's okay to take a look and support the men and women and African Americans within our community. As we know from the 24/7 Wall Street a couple years ago, there are a lot of hurdles and barriers that we still need to overcome. And we are stepping up to that challenge, and we're a better community for it. And we are just now beginning the incredible effort. So I want to thank you. And last but not least, our Waterloo Fair Chance Initiative Ordinance training webinars. Those will be featured throughout this week. Councilman Pat Morrissey, Councilwoman Sharon Jewin, they're doing incredible work along with our Human Rights Commission. And we want an opportunity to tell you what it is not, because there's a lot of rumors, there's a lot of miscommunication. So we have these trainings, these educational seminars for people to be able to take a look at. So we are strong. We are positively Waterloo. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Hart. You know, and as you mentioned, who would have ever imagined the disruptions that our community and our country has had to go through in the last few months? But the good news is that even dealing with these disruptions, there's still progress and growth going on, and business as usual as it goes to with planning for the future. So we will deal with what we have to as a community and everyone together. But thank you for giving us an update on Waterloo. And I know there are other progress reports. So let's go to Mayor Rob Green in Cedar Falls. Mayor Green. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Cary. So I have some shorter information for you. I wanted to pass along that, of course, yesterday we saw the governor's emergency proclamation, which reopened all businesses with just 6-foot restrictions. So in Cedar Falls, we'll be working to see how we'll implement that with things like the falls, since now swimming pools can be open again. So that's a very important consideration for these next few days, is what that means for our city buildings, including the library and other groups. So that'll be passed through regular media. Also, the big things for us for downtown are the construction that's still continuing over at 302 Main Street, and then also the new streetscaping. So we're proceeding along on that. We've got a few sections already finished. It's going to take the rest of this year and part of next year as well to complete that project. But it's looking fantastic. It really ties in, especially all the surrounding streets around Main Street, to a nice cohesive look for pedestrians and for the shoppers downtown. So really excited to see that, as the downtown really is the gem of our city. We're also looking over down towards Viking and 58. That interchange is nearing its completion for aesthetic improvements, and that should wrap up later this year as well. So you've seen the new paint scheme on the sides of the walls there, and we'll be working on that upper deck, the bridge across now, with landscaping. And so that should also be completed later this year. Wanted to note too that our Human Rights Commission has been developing a survey for area businesses And that's to help us learn about best practices for diversity and inclusion. So expect for our Cedar Falls businesses to see that later this year, when we'll certainly pass along what the findings are to the whole Cedar Valley as we work to see how our businesses can be best inclusive and promote diversity within the organizations. I'd also like to put a call out due to the U.S. the 2020 census, that businesses and their employees are encouraged to participate. Please remind your employees how important it is to fill out the census for their area, and that they don't need to be worried about government intrusion. It's very limited of what the government's allowed to use that information for, but it's critical that we're included this year with all of our residents, so that we're able to obtain the funding and the dollars that are due to our area. Also, I'm very pleased to see from City Council, we've finished up the acquisition and zoning for our new industrial park properties on West Viking. So that area now is within city limits and it's properly zoned in order to serve the business and manufacturing needs of the community and new incoming businesses for years ahead. And also note too, Cary and I talked about the other day, we are looking at some new initiatives and some changes in order to help businesses get through these next few weeks and possibly months with social distancing requirements. One thing we're discussing right now in the downtown area is potentially closing off the streets or the street right along Main Street, having those sections on Main Street closed for part of Saturdays so that businesses are able to extend outwards onto the sidewalks, which would allow better social distancing, and then just have that as a pedestrian access during that time. So that's we'll be talking about that on Monday with Community Main Street, what some of those details might be. But we're eager to have those kinds of ideas put forward by the community to see in this, as what they say, unprecedented time, that we're able to react accordingly and help our businesses as best as possible. And then just the last thing I'll mention is we also were going through our police chief process. So I did interviews with each of the candidates for the public as a meet and greet last month. If you've not seen that yet, I strongly encourage you to go to the city's YouTube page and take a look at that hour-long session of police chief candidates. We had 3 interviews that went very well and gave us quite an insight onto their thinking and what their priorities are. We expect to have final interviews for those candidates later this month, and then I'll be making a recommendation to council soon after that. So that's my whole update.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Mayor Green. And as you mentioned, with the limiting or the lifting of some of the restrictions on our recreational opportunities, at 10:30 today, Grow Cedar Valley will be hosting a webinar with the Cedar Falls swimming pool, and Lost Island, and the Waterloo Recreation Department, so that there'll be information on those opportunities as those restrictions are lifted and how people can participate and take advantage of a lot of these recreational opportunities throughout the Cedar Valley. So now I'd like to welcome, we've not had Mayor Hoffman from Waverly on a Good Morning Cedar Valley yet because he was elected last year, and we're just glad to have you with us, Adam. And please share a little bit about yourself and about what's going on in Waverly. Adam
Absolutely.
Hoffman.
Thank you very much for having me on this morning. My counterpart, City Administrator James Browner, joins me in the office here. You've met him and had him on before to kind of give the city update. So he's allowed me to step in and do my job. Anyway, Adam Hoffman grew up in Grundy Center. Obviously, first term started back in January here in Waverly. Married with 3 kids. My wife works in the hospital here. Got a background in law enforcement, but I currently work in a funeral home as a family service counselor in the pre-need environment. Right now in Waverly, I don't have a whole lot to go off of, but I do want to kind of tag off of what Mayor Hart had to say about the great leadership that we have throughout the Cedar Valley. And it's not just the elected officials, us here at the top. It's everybody through all the departments that have really come together through the COVID-19 and everything that's happening nationwide. So kudos to everybody in the leadership ranks. So Financially here in Waverly, I noticed that Mayor Hart mentioned their Moody's rating. We currently held a AA3 rating, which is satisfactory to our situation here with our finances. We're very pleased with maintaining that. Some activity in our community. We have a reconstruction of our 4th Street Southwest corridor. It's going to take it from a 2-lane to a 3-lane configuration with complete subsurface utility replacement improvement. So we're looking forward to that starting here very, very soon. The Bremer County Fair is effectively relocating from our Memorial Park to the east edge of town. We were able to retain them in our city limits, which is great for economic impact. Biggest thing right now that we're looking forward to, groundbreaking next week, is a 7-field ball diamond complex with a miracle field for less fortunate disabled children to be able to allow them to be athletes just like everyone else. So I'm looking forward to that, get all the leveling and groundwork done this year, and then progress with the project after that. On the radar for us in a couple of years is the replacement of the Bremer Avenue Bridge. This goes through our east-west corridor, directly on the west end of our Main Street downtown district. So like when we had the Bremer Avenue reconstruction project, we took initiatives to try to lessen the impact of, the impact that it had on the local businesses downtown to keep them thriving and going as best as we can. So we're already looking at initiatives that we can put into place to, again, try to assist them as much as possible. That's a perfect segue into what we've been doing with COVID-19 here in our community. We rolled out a business reopening toolkit with our economic development and Chamber and Main Street partners. So we've pushed that out to give businesses the opportunity to have the resources and tools that they need to have a successful opening. Looking forward to seeing the information that's shared from the other players here at 10:30 with the outdoor recreational facilities, pools in particular, to what we do here in our city with our municipal pool, whether we, open and those types of things. So other than that, not a whole lot going on. It's construction season, as everybody well knows, and that's what we're dealing with at this point in time. So I, once again, thank you for having me on, and hopefully have a better grasp for what this is all about, so we can have a little bit more orchestrated presentation for you.
No worries. Thank you, Mayor Hoffman, and you did a great job on your maiden voyage here. So
Thank you.
It can go, and information is dispersed in many different ways. So you did a great job. We appreciate having you here. And we mostly appreciate from Grow Cedar Valley the leadership from all 3 of our mayors that are here this morning, because as we talked about with each of you, nobody expected the last couple of months of distraction and disruption. And a lot of pain has been felt by everyone in our communities. But I think I know the fact that while our 3 communities are uniquely different, we are together in one voice as a region. And so it's very important that we continue to move forward that way. So I'd like to thank everybody for viewing, for being with us this morning, especially our 3 mayors that shared updates on our communities. We will continue to have Good Morning Cedar Valley's quarterly. It may be virtual for a while. We're just going to kind of take it an issue at a time, a day at a time, like everybody else is. But we welcome your input. We welcome your insight. So please reach out to anyone on the Grow Cedar Valley staff with any responses or any updates that you'd like to share with us. And with that, I'll wish you a great weekend. The weather's supposed to be wonderful. And thank you again. And good morning, Cedar Valley.